Welcome to Planet Hoax. I am your host, Neal Mitchell. Hello everybody, this is Neal Mitchell with PlanetHoax.com, where truth and lies and conspiracies collide. And it is April 1st, 2016, and this broadcast, there ain't nothing is a joke. This is not a foolish thing going on around here, is there, Dr. No?
Everything's serious.
There's a serious matter here going on, and we ain't fooling, so figure that one out. Anyway, we like to try to explain some things to y'all and try to get y'all to understand stuff, and hopefully regurgitate what we say to people, and maybe we can change this little crazy world we're living in, and that ain't fooling around. Okay, so let's move on to our very first subject of the night, and that is April Fool's Day. Dr. No, did you get to fool anybody today while you had a chance?
Not really, but then I was alone most of the day, so not much chance.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of fooled into believing that today was not going to be April Fool's Day. Now you're supposed to, at this point, ask me why.
Why?
Because I'm foolish to think so. No, I woke up this morning and I completely believed that it was April Fool's 2016. Not to be argued about anymore at this point. Anyway, there's been things going on in the news and things that's been happening here and there. You know, everybody's been hearing stuff. And we got a few things I thought maybe we'd try to bring up tonight. And I've just lost one of them. So we'll go to the next one, which is not the one I wanted. You gotta love the internet. Okay, this ain't fooling, folks. I lost one of my subjects for tonight. I'll have to figure out how to bring it back up later. Anyway, let's look at this. The only one that I can start off with, which is the one we had right smack dab in the middle of the show. So I'm gonna have a short show tonight. I'm not fooling, folks. All right. Okay, let's move over to it real quick, and let's go from there. Okay. All right, now. Right here, it's Market Watch, and you see the date on it. It is April 1st, 2016, and this was earlier in the day. America's $1 million shortage is right around the corner. Now, Dr. No, being an accredited psychologist, this is right up his alley, is it not, Dr. No?
It should be.
He deals with the insurances, he deals with the licensing, he deals with the government, he deals with all the red tape, he deals with all the BS. And he's going to let you in on a little secret about some of this stuff, perhaps, and enlighten y'all a little bit more than what's in the article. Now, I don't know if you've seen this article or not, Dr. No, but I'm sure you probably already pretty much understand the premises behind it, because that's pretty much how you live your life at the moment.
Pretty much, I think.
All right. Well, we'll look from there on it, you know, and try to come up with it. Okay. It says here, the doctor is disappearing in America. How many doctors have you known that just completely disappeared?
None that I've known completely just sort of fall off the map.
Right. Well, I imagine they probably do something else, is what they mean by the statement. Okay. By most projections, it's only going to get worse. And this is by the U.S. that the U.S. could lose as many as 1 million doctors by 2025. Now, when you first read the article, they're just saying it's right around the corner. Now, we're talking about, you know, 9 years from now. That's just crazy, okay? I mean, imagine that. We're going to be short 1 million doctors. Oh, no. I mean, that's quite a bit of men, women. According to the Association of American Medical Colleges report. Are you familiar with that group?
I know who it is. I'm not familiar with them intimately.
I've heard of the AMA, and this is AAMC, I guess. Primary care physicians will account for as much as 1/3 of that shortage, meaning the doctor you likely interact with most often is also becoming much more difficult to see. Hold on.
Because we're all fading away.
I still see you over there, Doctor No. So I'm guessing you're still on the good side of this situation. Okay.
For the moment.
For the moment. For the moment. Let's not jinx you. Okay. Let's see. All right. Tasked with checkups and referring more complicated health problems to specialists, these doctors have the most consistent contact with the patient. But 65 million people live in what's, quote, essentially a primary care desert, unquote, says Phil Miller of the physician search firm Merritt Hawkins. Now, do you want to elaborate on that last statement there yet, or do you want to wait?
I'll wait.
You'll wait? Okay.
Right now.
All right. You just raise your hand up there like or holler at me, tell me to shut up and let you talk. I'll be more than glad to. You're the expert on this one. Okay. Well, not X yet. We can't say that because you're still here. We can use the word X.
For the moment.
For the moment. Okay. Without those doctors, our medical system is, quote, putting out forest fires, just treating the patients as if when they really get sick, unquote, said Dr. Richard Olds, the chief executive officer of the Caribbean Medical School, St. George's University, who is attempting to use his institution's resources to help alleviate the shortage. Ready for anything yet? No, all right. You ain't fooling over there tonight, are you? Okay.
Nothing I can add just yet.
Alrighty. Dr. Ramanathan Raju, forgive me if I can't pronounce that right. It's one of those long words. CEO of the public hospital system, New York City Health Plus Hospitals, goes even further, saying the U.S. lacks a basic primary care system. I can already go with that one where we're going to go with this one already. I already hear the big O word going on in my head. I'm hearing the word. Ding, ding. There's the Liberty Bell going off, folks. We're speaking about Obama again, taking away our liberties. Obamacare, right? All right, let's move through this. Okay. I just lost myself here. Okay. Quote, I think we really killed primary care in this country, he said. It needs to be addressed yesterday, unquote. But Dr. No, what do you think about that? His statement there.
Need to address primary care? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like primary care was going okay prior to Obamacare.
I know my life was going pretty well okay before Obama, period.
My insurance was reasonable before Obamacare.
People could afford insurance. That's right. And health care. Never thought about that. I mean, where did he go wrong? Not the Messiah Obama. He didn't go wrong. It's our fault. We did it ourselves.
All I can say is my insurance went up almost 3.5 times.
3.5 times. Wow. That's like taking off an airplane and landing 3 times.
Yep.
And a crash every time. That's pretty much the way I look at it. Okay.
Insurance more than tripled.
More than tripled. Okay. I understand. I understand. Okay. Let's move down through this article a little farther here so I can see what's going on. If I can find my mouse. There we go. All right. The primary care gap is particularly acute in about 1/3 of the states, which have only half or less of their primary care needs being met. Connecticut is a standout among the group at about 15%, with Missouri at 30%, Rhode Island at 33%, Alaska with 35%, North Dakota at 37%, and next on the list according to the government statistics. All right, I got a little graph here, Dr. No. I don't think you see it right here, but they're showing the same thing I just said in graph form of the United States, and it's a sheeple placebo graph, of the United States, map of the United States. Okay, quote. Let's move it on up. Okay, quote. The real problem is we don't have enough doctors in the right places in the right specialties, Olds says, noting that doctors tend to cluster in big cities and are far more scarce in rural areas and in other small communities as well as certain parts of some big cities. Now, Dr. No, I know you're from a rural area. I won't discuss where, of course, but what do you feel about what they just stated there? Is this true to you, from what you understand of the healthcare?
It's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors in bigger cities and bigger areas are going to get paid more.
Okay, and of course there's more people to treat, so therefore it makes sense that they would be congregated in one place, or more in the populated areas. Okay, let's see. But how does this shortage come about, and how has the problem gotten so acute? Here's what's involved, they say here in this one. How doctors get paid. Well, without going into super detail, Dr. No, can you give us an idea how you go around getting paid?
Well, I work on a salary, but a lot of doctors work directly paid by insurance, more or less fee for service.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll do a service and insurance will say, well, we're not going to pay you that much. We're going to pay you this amount. And it may take months to get to that point.
And when you're stuck in that rut, you have no choice but to follow right along with it, or go somewhere else to practice.
You take less pay or you don't get paid at all.
Okay, all right. And a lot of people don't realize that with doctors. They think, oh, they got a lot of money, they can buy all the boats they want and airplanes and do trips to Bahamas, but that's really not the case.
Not all the time.
No, it's not. Okay, here's what they say: choosing to go into primary care is also a choice of lesser pay, as you just mentioned. Starting salaries in higher pay specialties can range from $354,000 for general surgery to $488,000 for orthopedic surgery, while primary care fields tend to bring a sub $200,000 starting salary, from $188,000 in pediatrics to $199,000 for family medicine, according to the Merritt Hawkins report. Yeah, that's, well, for me, there's them numbers I haven't seen in half my life. If I'd added all my paychecks together. So, that being said, I mean, I really have nothing I don't know myself personally, but that sounds like okay.
It's okay, but that's not including the amount of malpractice insurance doctors pay.
Oh yeah, I hear that's one of the major roots for a lot of them saying adios to the system and doing something else.
Obstetrics and gynecology, they pay some cases solidly 6 figures an inch malpractice insurance a year.
Man, that's kind of hard to understand how they could do that. If that's, of course, they're making that much more on top of their salary that they're getting paid themselves. They're probably raking in 5-6 times that from practice itself, and it goes to pay for their help, their nurses or whatever, their employees in the practice, and overhead and insurances and stuff like that, and even basic needs like gowns, gloves, whatever they're using. I can see that. I mean, for you, what is it? The paper goes on the couch?
Not even that.
He says, I forego that. I said, bring your own paper.
Bring your own paper.
Okay, let's move through this. Okay, the pay disparities reflect America's, quote, fee-for-service healthcare model, which compensates providers based on the number and type of services they complete. and which inherently favored specialists. So that's pretty much what we just discussed.
Mhm.
Reform-minded critics say compensation could instead be based on the period of time a patient is cared for. They argue that this structure would incentively preventative care, would incentivize um, preventative care and prevent unnecessary and often costly medical procedures. I can see that they try to put in the mill and leave them in there to draw more money off of the insurance. I can see that being a problem. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is in the very early stages of considering this global payment model. Global payment model. Hmm. Wow, Obamacare is the universal health care system, isn't it not? Okay. Experts say it's not just that primary care doctors are paid that they're paid less. They're also typically work longer hours and have to be well versed in a wide array of medical issues to refer patients to appropriate specialists. Well, I would expect that from any practicing physician to be knowledgeable. It works on me. I mean, so that's kind of a give and take. Cultural, the culture is also part of the problem. Raju says, Raju, I think it's Raju says, or Rau says, anyway, okay, since this is very glamorous to say that I went to some primary care doctor, it's glamorous to say I went to a cardiologist. Okay, I don't know what that even means. Okay, paired with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, it is the receipt of a shortage, the old says. A recipe for a shortage, he says. Okay, from the patient standpoint, the most important doctor you have is the primary care doctor who's paid the least, old says. We pay for procedures, drugs, and expensive tests, but we don't pay doctors to think and care and manage patients' healthcare problems. Now, that's a problem I do have with the healthcare system today. I mean, there's no personal interaction really with the doctor anymore. It's kind of like a mill. They just run you through it. And that's not really good. Now, in your practice, you probably see the same people for years.
It depends on what I'm doing with them, but yeah, there's some people who will come in
Yeah,
5, 10 years in some cases.
yeah, and that's kind of unheard of what we're talking about nowadays. I mean, all the older folks are kind of leaving out now, and they're not here anymore. And so that kind of way of being doctored is kind of going out the window. You don't have a doctor show up at the door anymore.
I haven't heard that. Don't remember the last time I heard about a house call.
Yeah, a good old house call. I had them when I was a kid. I remember a house call or two. Depending on what was going on. Okay, more demand. People are living longer and thus need more medical care, accelerating doctors to demand. The AAMC's 2015 report calculated at an 11 to 17% growth in total demand, of which a growth in aging population is a significant component. Now, I know that we've heard over the years they wanted to raise the rate of the death rate's gone up. The retirement age and all that stuff's gone up. So I can understand that being a statement that's okay. I mean, I can understand that. Okay, medical schools themselves. A few medical schools considered a community service background or an expressed interest in primary care when admitting applicants, though these are factors that would be easy to screen for. Past service in programs such as Peace Corps and Teach for America are good predictors of students taking an interest in primary care. You want to elaborate on that any?
Uh, don't know how I can elaborate on that. Really,
It's just
pretty
one.
straightforward.
It's just straightforward. All right. Diversity also plays a role. Old says that he's found that students from a range of socioeconomic backgrounds tend to go into a diversity of medical fields too. Well, I never considered the medical field being racially motivated or whatever like that. That just kind of I never really considered that. I mean, we see people from India all the time. They're treating people for all kinds of stuff, but I never really thought about it like that. Okay, Then there's the structures of programs themselves. A majority of med school faculties members tend to be composed of specialists in a more research-oriented bunch, aiding the school's federal funding, which influences their students' choices and the use of university hospitals as teaching sites. Doesn't immerse students as much in the outside community and inhabiting growth of the community roots. And that's what I was saying a little earlier. I mean, it seems like it's just that personality, the personal interactions kind of going out the window a lot, you know. Um, anyway, they go into all this stuff about this, and anyway, they talk about the geography. It doesn't take more than a quick scan of a map of the medical schools in the United States to note that there's heavily concentrated in the northeastern United States. Graduates, in the U.S. graduates tend to stay in the areas where they went to school. This contributes to a geographic skew among doctors. Would you say that's
I think so. Seems like there's a relative lack in the central states.
right? Now I remember us discussing a few weeks ago about the New York area, and you said is like you can't go nowhere without seeing a doctor's office or something
Pretty
like
much,
that.
yeah. They're all over the place.
They're everywhere. Yeah. So that would make sense. Prospective doctors must complete a residency in order to practice medicine. Those programs, funded in part by federal dollars, aren't located in areas where great need, or nor do they geographically calibrate with that factor in mind. Now, this brings up a point from why don't they go ahead and diversify it outwardly, this, and be done with it rather than keeping it in one little area if it's such a problem?
That's a pretty good question.
Why would they want to do that? I mean, why? I mean, they see it as a problem up the top from the very beginning, obviously.
There are some programs, in fact, to get doctors and physicians and nurses to go into underserved areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Financial incentives, in fact.
Right, right. And is that what drew you this direction?
I just wanted to move back to civilization, is what I wanted to do.
He means by civilization, he means back to the South where the homeland is at.
That's it.
I understand that. All righty. Government's role or lack thereof. All right. In the United States, though government dollars sponsor aspects of medical education, especially residencies, there is no oversight in how doctors are sorted in various specialties. But fingers aren't being just pointed at medical schools. Fear of a doctor's surplus prompt a 1997 payment gap on Medicare funding for residencies, which has served as a quote stumbling block for doctors training ever since, as John Englehart wrote in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2013. Are you familiar with any of that?
Not really.
Okay. As medical school enrollment has swelled, medical schools plan to increase their enrollment classes by almost 30% between 2002 and 2016, according to the Englehart. Residency slot expansion has slumped. So it's a big numbers game is where they're looking at it. You know, it's one of those things. Only about 1 in 4 medical school graduates is heading into primary care career, according to Olds, a ratio that's half of what it used to be. But doctors who also want to practice differently today than their predecessors did, placing a high premium on regular 9 to 5 hours, Miller said. So we're, quote, finding it takes more than one doctor coming out of today to replace an old style baby boomer doctor of 25 years ago. There is 7 years that it takes to train a doctor. Then there's the 7 years it takes to train a doctor, a lag time that's built into any program and effort to address the shortage. That means there is little wiggle room, and time is now, he says. So you want to elaborate on the end of that? Because this is the end of the article.
Oh, let's see. Sounds like in a nutshell, I don't know. They're putting out more doctors out of medical school, but there's a relative lack of doctors practicing.
Yeah, and it's back what we were discussing, I think, off camera earlier about, hey, this Obamacare and insurance and everything like that is just going skyrocketing, and it seems to be scaring doctors off from the fields they may have otherwise taken or stayed with, or or wanted to enjoy. In fact,
Well, I mean, they're getting more paperwork and less pay in a lot of cases. So that's not much incentive to keep plugging away.
Yep. And your little blow Joe, high school student who's, well, not high school student anymore, but career McDonald burger flipper, who's complaining that he ain't getting paid enough to flip hamburgers and needs to raise to $15 an hour. When you read this right here, it makes you wonder what's their frame of mind and thinking at that point. They've got no idea what they're talking about when they're stuck in a minimum wage job. They choose to stay in a minimum wage job when it's obvious that job was started to begin with to be nothing more than, hey, first job for a high schooler to get his foot in the door, to learn that kind of, to learn, hey, this is how the corporate world works somehow, and progress and move from there.
Exactly what it's for.
And now you got these doctors who probably maybe some of them were doing that kind of job while they were going to school to try to pay for it, and now they really worked for the American dream, and now they're kind of being screwed out of it because of the Obamacare. I mean, that's what I'm seeing is going on, and what's suffering at this point? You don't have the professionals there to help you out, and your government saying there, oh, we'll take care of you, as they're looking for that soft spot to stick you in the back. That's how I look at that. All right, let's move on to the next and last article, since I lost my very first one. And this was supposed to be in the clincher for the night, but we're going to go with it, all right? And it is, scientists have a wild idea for hiding us from evil aliens. No, this ain't an April Fool's joke. We actually believe this crap. So you're thinking, okay, how are we going to hide ourselves from evil aliens?
That's going to be a big screen.
First question I have to ask is this. Where did they come up with this wild idea? And what were they smoking peyote, reading Carlos Castaneda? Or I don't understand where they're coming from with some of this. But they're wanting to hide us from evil aliens. Now, first of all, we have to question ourselves, are there really aliens out there? And secondly, how the hell do they know they're evil? That's, I mean, just to read that, scientists have a wild idea for hiding us from evil aliens. It's almost comical. It just is. All right, let's move through this. All right. I mean, do we really want to hide from them, though?
I don't see how we could. If they're advanced enough to make it here, then they can probably see around the screen.
But before I even read this article, I remember Stephen Hawking saying, oh, we don't want to communicate with them aliens. That's the dumbest thing possible. We might not like the idea, not like the answer you get. Okay, that's plausible. Well, first of all, they have to prove aliens exist to be worried about them. I like Hawkins' idea of it. Play it safe and don't do something stupid. You don't say fire in a crowded theater kind of thought process. But be on the safe side. Personally, I don't believe in aliens. In the idea, that they're out there yet. I haven't seen any super proof for me to believe that that's what's going on now. Now you got the UFO thing, and Planet Hoax. We dwell into that a little bit, and all that. But I'm under the pretense that, hey, believing is sin, and I'm gonna go with that. And people say, well, you're a Christian, and you're believing in the flying spaghetti monster bull, Oh, well, no, you don't really understand. See, I'm playing it safe. Whether there is a God or not, okay, you can argue that all you want, but I'm going to play it safe and believe there is one, and with all my heart and soul, only because I want to play it safe, because if there is a God, I'll be okay. And, well, this atheist fella next to me, he's kind of screwed. That's how I look at that. So they say, well, you're just dumb. Are you? Am I really? Maybe you're the one that's dumb. But anyway, let's move to this article, because I get deep into these all night long. I love that picture. Do you remember that Mars attacks?
Yeah.
Oh man, this whole thing here. All right, let's get off of this, okay? Most of the time when we talk about silly scientific papers, it's already going good, related to alien life, we're talking about crazy ideas of how to find aliens, right? But a new study in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Societies uh, propose a way of hiding from aliens because humans are so fickle. We're going to hide from them. We don't know they exist, but we're going to make sure we hide from them. We're going to get some camo and cover the earth in camo.
That's a lot of camo.
Oh man, Duck Commander would be proud, wouldn't he? All right, all right. A lot of our research for Earth-like planets, and in quotations here, by extension, for life as we know it, hinges on transiting planets. Now, transiting planets. What have we been talking about the last couple of months?
You mean the Nibiru?
Nibiru, Planet X. This has fallen all into this bull that we were going through this past couple of months, that I've been regurgitating, getting on to people about, dooming everybody and freaking out, And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, if we do have any transiting planets, it's been there this whole time. It's going to happen all the time. To be freaked out on it and believe there's Anunnaki and all this going on with it, it's very questionable at this point. I really am not going to say yes on any of this yet, because like I said, seeing is believing, and I'm going to go with that mantra no matter what. And I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying that there's no such thing. What I'm saying is there is so much disinformation and so many lies going on right now. It makes April Fools in itself look foolish in comparison to the BS we've been seeing on this internet. I can name off particular characters right now that I have gone in on the little chats and talking. You talk about getting skewed, just bringing up one little iota of like, well, I don't believe it. And they go on top of you. They look like alligators eating on meat. They go after you. They get so incensed that you question the thought that there are no aliens. But they will question all day long that there's no God. But they'll be bona fide crazy that's screaming at you to the top of their lungs saying there's aliens. There are. We know there are. Okay. Well, seeing is believing. Prove it. Okay. And let's move through this. Okay. All right. There are planets that pass in front of their host star in such a way that the transit is visible from our perspective. The movement of the planet in from the host star makes the light from the star, dim and flicker. We know about that, Okay. But we can use that to determine all sorts of things about distant worlds, and including how sustainable they may be for life. Now, I'm going to tell you this. There's no way in hell that we can see that damn far. They can't see a planet as a planet. We have a hard time seeing Pluto, for God's sakes, with earthbound telescopes. It's even harder to see with the Hubble. Now, they're talking about something that's supposedly millions of light years away, and they're seeing a flicker, dimming of the light around the planet, and getting it light and getting dark. Now, how do they know that ain't a nebula structure floating around it, and it just happens to? How do they know that?
I don't know.
How do they know the damn star itself isn't flickering off and on? But yet they're going at this idea that, oh look, this star has a planet around it because we can't. It's star dimmed. You know how precise that would be for an orbit to be to where we could see it like that?
Extremely.
And we're talking about a plane, right? Looking at it like an equator. Like looking at Saturn with the ring being a little line. That's how minute a planet would be in front of the sun. Imagine the thickness of an idea is this. Let's say you have the sun. the size of the sun, and you have a Jupiter-sized planet transiting in front of that sun, that would be equivalent as the width of the um, ring going around Saturn being the width looking right directly at it, floating in front of it. Now, are you really going to see that sun dim? Come on.
Yeah.
And for a star to be dimmed, that planet would have to be so far away from that star that it would act that the diameter of that planet would have to actually cover the sun or the star completely, kind of like our moon does when we have those eclipses. Just totally covers in front of it. It'd have to be that big, I mean, that far away, that high size. So it gives you an idea and perspective, how big that planet would really have to be at stellar distance away from that sun for it to cover the diameter of a sun. It had to be huge. It had to be as big as that star, if not bigger. So I'm always questioning a lot I'm hearing from astronomy only because they really don't know and they're only going on guesswork. And it's like any kind of theory they go on. It's a theory and an assumption. So I have to question some of it. But that's just me. Anyway, let's move along. All right. Some scientists have suggested that we should hope that Earth is a transiting planet from the perspective of some other world that hosts intelligent life. In other words, our best shot at finding aliens might be hoping that they're using exactly the same methods of planetary detection we are. Now, I remember back in the 70s, it was radio signals. That's how we're going to communicate. And now they're saying, oh no, we're going to wink at each other in space. By transiting in front of a star. That's going to send a message to them. It's just crazy. And that they can see the passage of Earth in front of the sun with their telescopes. All right. If we made a lot of noise in the direction of those theoretical planets. See, there's the magic word I was just telling you about earlier. Theoretical planets. They don't even know they exist. They just assume they do. But they're telling you they do exist. And this is the problem I have with these kind of articles. Because this kind of stuff you see all the time. Science is so full of assumptions and lies, it is absolutely freaking unbelievable. Now, we can use the laws of thermodynamics, we can talk about mathematics and stuff like that. You're going to be bona fide in those arguments. I've got no problem with that. But when you start throwing theoretical stuff in there, even if it's theoretical math or theoretical anything, it's an assumption. Nobody knows. You can make up stuff as you go along. I could be as smart as anybody on the planet and have a theory. As long as enough people want to believe it, I would be the smartest man on the planet. I could be Richard Dawkins, for God's sakes. That's how smart I could be. He can eat my spaghetti monster. Dangle some spaghetti at Mr. Dawkins and let him eat my theoretical spaghetti monster. Just one thing after another. Okay, we might get their attention faster that way. If we dangle our theoretical spaghetti monster in front of a theoretical planet. Okay. Or we could point lasers at them instead. Oh, God. Now, that's even dumber, okay? All right. We can point a laser at a planet, and they're going to see us. You know how big that laser would have to be?
It'd have to be enormous.
It had to be the size of the Earth or bigger.
Well, isn't it like the lasers fire from the Earth now makes a beam that's about 3 feet wide when it hits the moon?
Yeah, it gets that wide. It gets that wide, and then twice as wide as it gets back.
So by the time it reached any potentially inhabitable planet, it's going to be so dispersed it's going to be visible.
That's what I'm saying. Talk about a wink. You wouldn't even see it. That'd be like me standing in front of the sun with a flashlight in my hand, and you standing in front of me, looking directly at the sun with me in front of you, and me flash a flashlight at you. Do you think you could see that flashlight?
Chances are I wouldn't.
That's what we're talking about here. It's just stupid. Dumb. Because first they got to know we're there. And how do they do that? They transit the sun. So what are we going to do when we transit the sun? We're going to shoot a laser beam at them now. Oh, that'll do the trick. I'll show them. That'll show them. See, it just wacky. And we got you know, the guy here from the bald head guy with the cat that was in the those movies, that comedy movie in here on him. The Dr. No like guy, whatever his name was. Not you, Dr. No, the other Dr. No. Though you look like this Dr. No. Dr. Evil. Yeah, that's why we call him you, Dr. No, because you kind of look like Dr. Evil, and that name was already taken up. And it kind of reminded me of the James Bond movies, so we gave you the name Dr. No. He's wondering where that came from. All right. Professor David Kipling. And I know David Kipling is a good, a good professor. I've heard of him before. He's got some a good credential. Graduate student Alex Tichy, both of Columbia University, decided to see how much laser light it would take to mask the dimming caused by our planet's transit. This is what we were just talking about. I don't know how far ahead am I on this article at this point, but this is, according to their math, it would take about 10 continuous hours of shining a 30 megawatt, excuse me, it's large M and large W, a 30 megawatt laser, 10 continuous hours of shining a 30 megawatt laser once a year to eliminate the transit signal invisible light. This is what I was just talking about. Well, where are you going to come up with power for that? Well, all right. Actually replicating every wavelength of light emitted by the sun would take about 250 megawatts of power.
It's a lot of energy.
Now, if you was able to match this light of the sun, as we were talking about earlier, they would never see you transit the sun. So they wouldn't even know you were there or not. The way I'm looking at it. I mean, it'd be like you're turned invisible. So how are you signaling to a damn alien at that point if you're canceling yourself out by matching all the wavelengths of the sun and drowning out your shadowed figure, umbra. The umbra is the Earth's shadow, virtually, is what they're looking at. The umbra of the Earth, at this alien civilization. See, this whole article is just contradicting itself as you go along and read it. It's just crazy. Okay, alternately, we could cloak only an atmospheric signatures associated with biological activity, such as oxygen, which is achievable with a peak laser power of just 160 kilowatt per transit. To another civilization, this would make the Earth appear as if life never took hold on our world. What I just said. Tichy said in the statement. So how are you signaling when you're doing just the opposite here in this article?
Doing nothing to stand out.
Does that make any sense? We're talking about some camo. That's, it's pretty good camo there to cancel us out. Okay. This assumes, here's more assumptions, of course, that the aliens in question haven't already figured out more sophisticated or very different methods for detecting a planet's habitability. It's possible that they catch on to our little laser show pretty quickly. Okay, but we could use our lasers to be even louder. Instead of cloaking ourselves, we could make our transit signature so darn weird that the aliens would have to take notice. Now, at that point, I'd say if you're trying to contact another alien civilization, that's what you do in the first place. You do something to make yourself stand out, right?
Absolutely.
And you got to remember too, this is all theoretical and assuming only because they don't know if Joe Blow alien even exists over there where they're looking at. And then where are you putting it to? How do they know? Yeah, they're using this as the idea that we can only communicate in a plane field that is the solar plane, to our orbital plane of the solar system. And that's projected out because that is such a small portion of the universe to be looking at that, to me, it'd be a waste of time to even worry about it. because most of the universe is looking at us from every angle,
Yep.
99% or more, right?
Mm.
So it seems like this thing here they're talking about is a waste of time, and it's going to be a waste of money too. But that's just me. I'm just Joe Blow dummy, don't know nothing, right? But I can figure this crap out by just reading it. I mean, this is how stupid they think you are out there, folks. That you're just gonna believe their little mumbo jumbo because there you got their little, skins on the wall. Stupidity. Okay, our work offers humanity a choice, at least for transit events. Well, there we go. And we should think about what we want to do, Kipping states in a statement. They're giving humanity a choice. There's another choice too. Don't worry about it. Don't, spend your damn money on something that ain't going to work, and they're just going to get more money off of you to prove it doesn't work anyway. So just way to keep the job. That's all it's about. Okay, but it could be really great. And hey, the chances are slim anyway. Especially how that we know is pretty easy to hide from our best method from detecting Earth-like planets. I already worry that people are ignoring my text because they hate me. And now I get to wonder if aliens might be pointing lasers at us because they think we're gross and they just can't even. People watched way too much Star Trek when they were younger and Star Wars and believe in it too much. There's more things to fry out there, folks. Really, there are. I mean, that's Dr. No, you've been quietly sitting there listening to me bagler and badger your own. What do you want to say about this? I know you're a psychologist, but you at least,
I think you're right. I mean, we don't know which angle to fire off invitations or attempts at communication. The angles are almost infinite. We could fire them off. It's just going to be a crapshoot hitting the right one.
Dr. Evil.
There is something there.
Dr. Evil's doing his little thing here.
It's possible Stephen Hawking has the right idea. Like, it may be dangerous to communicate. What we think is a welcome or an inquiry to existence. To aliens, it may sound like a wounded rabbit to a coyote.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That brings us back up to our film that we were talking about earlier, when Mars attacks.
You may not want them to know we're here.
Oh man, it's all of this going on, and all these people out there that spend all their lives getting smart, and they get a degree in being smart, and they think they're smarter than you or me, and they may be to some extent, but man, I mean, just what they're doing and what they're talking about, it seems like it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. There's no proof of any of it going on, and if they ever do find something out, we ain't gonna be around here to ever know about it anyway. The whole human race will be dead by the time they figure this one out. The way I'm looking at it, so I don't really see this being something that's nothing more than it's kind of like a boat. You know the definition of a boat, don't you, folks? That's a hole in the water surrounded by wood in which one pours money. And I kind of look at this as being a hole in the water surrounded by wood in which they're pouring our money into, and it ain't going to do much because eventually the damn thing's going to sink. So, or it's going to be taken away in divorce court. Depending on which way the wind blows in your neck of the woods. Okay, enough said on that. So, c'est la vie, I guess. I'll just say on it. Dr. No, you have anything to say before we conclude tonight's broadcast and move along with our lives and let these fine folks here move along with theirs?
I think we've summed it up. All
right, folks, get the hell out of here, and we'll see y'all next time around. And don't be fooled by this crap you're hearing on the internet. All right, we're just trying to help you out, okay? And do appreciate y'all tuning in, and try to donate if you can to the site. Go to planethoax.com. You'll see the donation link there to help me out keep this thing going, and I can build up and upgrade my system and get me a phone system in here, because I sure would like to start doing live phone calls with y'all people, and that's really something I'm looking forward to doing, because I got nothing better to do than argue with you. So until next time, don't forget, there's a war going on in slave you, and it begins right here, like I said, on this internet. And you keep it safe, and we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for watching PlanetHoax.com. Subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube and Facebook. And remember, there is a war going on to enslave you. Week, and from me and Dr. No, I'll say goodnight and keep your powder dry, folks. And we'll see you at the 1776 versus 1984 here soon.